When someone passes, where do they go? Gone forever, or can they show? What if you could find someone between to bridge the gap of those?
I'm Michele Livingston, and I've been a spiritual medium for the last 30 years, appearing on Fox News, New York.
Hello, everybody. I'm Greg Jarrett. Welcome back to Breaking News. It's going to be a really interesting guest for the hour. Michele Livingston is a visionary counselor.
On stage with medium James Von Prague.
Did anybody smoke, Richard?
Yes.
I smell tremendous smoke even up here. Was that your father that smoked?
My father and my mom.
On ABC
There's
News.
Air, oxygen everywhere, you can't see it, but it's here. Same thing with the spirit realms. So even though it's in a beautiful invisible realm, I have the capacity to tap into it and actually see them. He says, thanks for the balloons. I have no idea what that means. God. Do you have your mother's ashes with you?
My brother and I had necklaces made with her ashes in them, and I just took it off the chain tonight and put it in my pocket because I was curious if it would come up, and it did.
From the east in Harrisburg, PA, to the west in Hollywood, CA, I'm the People's Medium.
It's Michele Livingston.
It's Mr. Tony Sweet. Hello, my darling.
Oh my gosh, it's been so long, and I'm so glad we're back together again.
Back in the saddle.
That's right.
I have some new viewers, I think, this evening. And if you're on the radio listening to me, you can also view me. And I just want to give my fan page out. It's Michele with one L, Livingston, comma, the People's Medium. If you go there, I'll be on the screen, and there's a call-in number on the screen. This is, I think, Tony, my fourth year.
It is. It's crazy how how does that happen?
It just flies. And usually what I do for the new people is go on a hiatus in the summer and travel and write and sometimes paint. So I was on up until late last spring, took the summer off, back on again. And the shows are varied. So if you want to view past shows, the YouTube channel that I have is, again, Michele Livingston, comma, the People's Medium. If you go to my website, which is on the screen now, michellelivingston.com, and you pull up media under shows and video, about 50 of these come up. Tony and I have literally, and he's a wonderful co-host, by the way, have covered so much together from numerology, gemstones, messengers from heaven, angels, spirit guides, you name it. So, yeah, it's good to be back. And we are on different radio stations. And I just wanted to make people aware of that, Tony. iHeart's one of them. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spreaker, pretty much anywhere you can think of finding Michele, she's there, and you can find her podcast.
Well, somebody said, oh, I just heard you on the radio about your cat, and your cat's stealing the drain out of the sink. I wish I could have seen it. I said, well, go on my fan page, and you can see everything.
Right.
So anyhow, Tony's in Burbank, California, at United Broadcast, Universal Broadcast Network, and he's in Burbank, California. So what happens when you call? The calls go to Tony, and he has them in queue, and he looks at your area code. He goes down and he picks the calls. So that's how that works. On my fan page, you can also leave comments. I don't see them right now, but after the show, I'll answer all your comments or your questions. And there's also a chat room where Tony is, and that's ubngo.com. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, and you can go in there and chat with each other and that kind of thing. So we always have a good time.
We sure do.
Yeah. So we have covered lots and lots of subjects. And as the show progresses, I'm going to start doing more specials. And we're going to go a little deeper. Now, tonight's subject is a little lighter in context, but I plan on covering the issue of suicide coming up, of Alzheimer's dementia from a spiritual or higher perspective. What happens when all these things occur? And there'll be many other ones that I think you'll find interesting. So how it works is I'm a teacher, so I do a little bit of a teaching segment first. And then we take a break, and then we take phone calls. So I've been a medium for 30 years. That's my main thrust, but I like to cover different information. So I want to go back to where we are right now on the earth plane, which is the third dimension. Some people call it just Earth or the dense low frequency that we're in right now. And actually, it's the densest, lowest inhabitable dimension that there is. If you think of an onion, the core is the Earth, let's just say, and then there are emanating from that overlapping dimensions. There's actually 12 dimensions, as far as I know. It's not etched in stone, but I have spirit guides and angels that, I've talked to the last few decades. And these are not linear like a ladder. These are overlapping dimensions. So that's how it works in the third dimensional world, but also mainly in the fourth and going into the fifth. So on the earth plane, everyone watching or listening should have a little gold badge to say, I incarnated down here because this is a training ground. I'm learning my soul lessons, and I made it. So it's really not easy to incarnate to this third dimensional world. But anyhow, it is a training ground to learn soul lessons. And you might say, well, what in the world's a soul lesson? Before we are born, we make soul agreements with other souls to be born with them, to incarnate with them. We choose parents. And some people say, oh boy, I come from a really dysfunctional family. Why in the world would I choose my parents? We choose them to learn and grow with. We choose future spouses. We're from a large soul group in heaven. Some have 5,000 souls in their soul group. So with the will of the Creator, we choose a time to come in, which is called a soul contracted timeline, and we choose a time to go. This is a real training ground. So I use the analogy of a car. I've been doing that for years. The physical body is like a car, and the soul's like the driver. So when the car wears out, we junk the car, the driver leaves. Bless anyone out there that have had stillborn babies. Basically what that means, the car is there, but the driver has not entered, which is the soul. So upon the first breath, which we call the breath of life, the soul basically, or your light body, we call it, enters through the top of your head, is connected with an invisible silver cord, spiritual cord. It's like an umbilical cord from your navel to the solar plexus of your soul or light body. And that's how we astral project at night. So astral projection merely means the soul leaves the body at night and we can go interdimensional. So if you have dreamt of loved ones, they're not down in your bedroom with you. Your soul is up with them in the higher, faster frequency. That's how that works. So when we take our first breath, we have a form of amnesia. We could not possibly remember in our soul DNA all that we have experienced before this lifetime. In some of the dimensions, there are extraterrestrial beings. There are different consciousnesses of Pleiades, Orion, and so on. I don't have time to go into the 12 dimensions, but they are in my book, which is up on the screen. It is called Messages from Beyond. And this little guidebook has been revised 5 times. Finally, we have it in a hard copy because people have dog-eared this book. They have given it to other people. They keep buying copy after copy. So it's my most popular guidebook. It's Spirituality 101, and it contains a lot. It talks about the 12 dimensions, conscious manifestation. We attract what we think. Positive affirmations. So it's on the screen, and I wanted to tell people that have it, that have written to me over and over, when's the hardback coming out? We have it right now. So you can order it from my website or Amazon. You can go into Amazon.com. The third dimension is the material world. I think Madonna sang I'm a material girl. Did you ever have her as a guest, Tony?
No, but I would have loved to.
Yeah, I would think she would be a really interesting guest.
Oh my goodness, I would love that.
You've had some really wonderful celebrities on. You really have on your show.
Fortunate. Yeah, very fortunate.
Tony's show is Truth Be Told.
Oh, yeah.
That still airs Friday, Tony?
Mondays and Fridays now. So yeah, we doubled up.
Yeah, and go to it and watch it. What time is it out there? Your show, Tony?
On Mondays it's 5:00 Pacific, and then on Fridays we actually moved them to 1 and 2 o'clock Pacific time. So yes.
So write that down, everybody.
Please.
Pardon?
I said yes, please.
he just had the Hollywood medium on there. I mean, this is he knows everybody. But anyhow, and he is my sweet, sweet co-host. We have free choice and free will. That has been bestowed upon us. So we have the right to choose. And as I said, with the higher power's will, we choose everything. So when we think in a positive mode, it creates light around us. Our auric field expands. And we attract what we think, we attract what our motivations are, and we attract what our intentions are. So as you go about your workaday in the workaday world, just be aware. You don't have to be obsessed, but be aware of how you're feeling, what's intuitively inside of you. Intuition means inner knowing. And some people, when they get into this negative spiral, I call it, they block their own inner knowing or their own intuition. There are two things in this world, love and fear. And it can be called light and dark, positive, negative, or love and fear. Decisions are love-based or they are fear-based. So since it's the material world, there is a lot of fear of losing possessions, gaining possessions, holding on to them, and what we do for a living. So we should love what we do, but we are in a box down here in this third dimensional world of really, it's sometimes not being able to think outside the box. So I hope these podcasts help you to be aware on a daily basis and to really have the faith to know that things are really going to work out. It's not all about prayer or this or that. It's about intention, awareness, and that's the key. Loving yourself is difficult. And people say, well, how in the world do I love myself? When you are in a state of now, NOW, is when you really love yourself. So one of the ways could be art, painting, you're focused, you're in the now. Composing, singing, you're focused in the now. The other way is nature. And Tony, you took some interesting nature walks, didn't you? Up the mountains this summer.
Oh, yeah. We went up to Lake Tahoe and Yosemite and several. I love to get out in nature. I love to go up to the mountains, the redwoods and all that stuff. It's so much fun.
And what it does, it brings you into the now and it calms you down, doesn't it?
That's my meditation.
Yeah. And see, when Tony says meditation, it means the stilling, peace be still of the mind. And that's basically loving yourself. Whatever it takes for you to chill and relax out there, whoever's watching or listening, please do more of it, because it's about loving others, but it's also about loving self. Anyhow, this is the world we're in, the material world. And it's a place of a really low vibration. So everyone should pat themselves in the back right now for not only hanging down here, but to keep going. Some of the virtues we should be aware of, or that we incarnate to be aware of, not for perfection, not to master, but to be aware of. A big one's patience. So if your patience has been tried and tested over and over, that's what you chose to be aware of this lifetime. Another big one is tolerance. Tolerance might mean racial prejudice, crazy neighbors, dysfunctional family, weird friends, I don't know. Because how are you going to learn it or be aware of it unless it's around you? Humility is another one. This is an ego-based world. And humility is the ability to release the ego and to bring the love in. When we can say that we love everyone in the world unconditionally, then we no longer incarnate. That's a difficult one, though. And forgiveness is another virtue that we can, again, be aware of. There are many. So there are patterns in your life. If you think over your life, what you've gone through, what setbacks you've gone through, you'll see something emerge that you're learning. And that's why we come down here. It is really a rough training ground. Now, the fourth dimension, hallelujah. Yay! Because that is the opposite side of the coin. It overlaps into the fifth dimension a little bit. But the fourth dimension are where our light bodies reside. The light body that's within you right now, which is your soul. So when we take our last breath, same thing happens. The soul rises above the body, looks down at the physical body, and goes through a portal or a tunnel to a higher, faster frequency. So when mediums do their work, if they're clairvoyant, we know that means clear seeing. If they're clairsentient, they feel. If they're clairaudient, they hear. What they're dealing with is a frequency that they have to kind of keep up with because it's a faster frequency. So souls have to lower energy down to our dimension to talk to a medium. And the medium usually has to raise their soul energy to communicate with the souls that are waiting in line. And I'll tell you, lots are waiting in line. And in fact, you have a whole group around you, Tony.
Oh, really? All right.
You do. So anyhow, there are 3 levels of the fourth dimension, and people find this really, really interesting. The first level is closest to the earth plane, and it's called the gray area. Now, Halloween is around the corner. I personally do not work with the paranormal societies. If I did, I would tell these souls, go to the light. But they do some good work. They try to communicate. And this is where hauntings come in, because the discarnate spirits are earthbound. They either don't know their past or they pass in a very violent or traumatic way. Sometimes they themselves can be murderers, or they have committed heinous crimes, or they were very angry when they passed. So they cling to the lower, denser frequency of Earth. And they're called discarnate spirits. Eventually, they'll get to the light. Angels come down, guides come down to help them to get to the higher frequency. If some people don't believe in an afterlife, maybe they can't see the light. Maybe they don't realize where they are. So the gray area is where souls wander. Have you ever heard of the gray area, Tony, at all?
Yeah. And I mean, I've heard it not in just spirituality, but even in everyday conversation once in a while. People are like, it's a gray area. So
yeah, and they're probably feeling the heavy density of the earth plane. So when we approach Halloween, as we know, the veil is thinner for some unknown reason. There's a lot of paranormal shows on television, and that's fine. But what we're doing is opening up to a lot of discarnates. And that's why I really believe in protection when I do any form of spiritual work. So if you're out there dabbling with the Ouija board, bless you, I hope not, or dabbling with things, you need to white light. You really need to protect your energy so that you have spirits come through for the highest good of you, for the highest good of who you're working with, actually. Astral, it's also called the astral realm. And this is where we go at night. As I said, the soul can leave. If you wake up between 3 and 5 in the morning and can't get back to sleep, and a lot of people do that, it's a sign that your soul has been out and has re-entered. Some of us remember dreams We remember our guides and so on. Some of us don't. But that's the way it is. And a lot of people are out about 2 nights a week. If you're extremely tired, you're out maybe 4 or 5 nights a week, going through these different dimensions. And Tony, you've done a lot of research on the extraterrestrials, haven't you? I know you have.
Oh yeah, yeah. We deal with a lot of or interview lots of abductees. You know, people just experienced UFO activity. Yeah, we quite a bit.
Your shows are very open. I love them.
Oh, thank
and
you.
So watch Tony. He's fascinating. He has some amazing guests on. Okay, so we're at stage 1 of the 4th dimension, which is closest to the Earth plane. Now, the next stage of the 4th dimension, which we also call the other side of the heavenly realms, is a level where people are, souls are a little confused. The people are confused before they pass, and the soul retains its personality. The soul retains its consciousness, its mind, and its memory bank. With the near-death experience, for example, as the soul rises above the body, it can look down and it hears and sees everything that's happening below. We retain our sight, which is our soul sight, our mind, which is our soul mind, and the DNA in our soul mind. And we actually have our own personalities, which is fascinating. But those that are, let's just say, in a coma situation, now this is not 100%. This might be, I don't know, maybe 60%, 50%. But I like to share it because when we're artificially kept on Earth, it's like trying to push a butterfly back into the cocoon. The cocoon's the physical body, and the butterfly is the soul that so much wants to leave and fly free and go to its home, which is the other realm. So therefore, in a coma, our souls are coming and going. We can rise above our body on life support, and we can look down at it, and we can try to get through to the message of, please cut the cord. I'm ready to go. So they can become a little disoriented because if they've been in the coma for a few years on artificial life support, they're very tired and they're very weak spiritually. The other one that is a little controversial is dementia or Alzheimer. Alzheimer basically is when there's plaque in the brain cells. Dementia, they've done studies, it's a lack of B vitamins sometimes. So keep up with your B vitamins, everyone listening or watching. But with dementia, when the person is lucid, and I know there's a lot out there, and this is going to be a show coming up, whether it's a grandmother, whether it's a cousin, or whether it's your dad that had dementia, their souls are coming and going. So when they are lucid, the soul is firmly implanted in the body. And when they're babbling or looking up or out, the soul is out of the body. So these are just some cases, and also very quick and sometimes very rapid passings. The soul gets a little bit disoriented. So that's level 2 in the 4th dimension. And again, it's not in all cases, but it's in some cases. And then there is the 3rd level, where most of us actually go to. Yes, we do. If we're not Hitler, if we haven't committed a terrible, heinous crimes. But we all come from God. We're all loved from God, but we have to go through a life review. And some souls just aren't ready for it. They don't want to do it. But most of us go through a connecting portal or tunnel. And that's in my book, Living in the Afterlife. I just want to show it real quickly. If you're watching, 33 souls came through and communicated about what heaven is like. Thank you very much. Tony Sweet, there it is on the screen, Living in the Afterlife. My mother was one of them. She came through and said, you're going to write a book on heaven. And I said, you're kidding. It took 4 or 5 years to do. Some celebrities are contained in this book. Actually, one's Whitney Houston, who said it was wonderful to step into the tonal frequencies of heaven. There's as many things to do there spiritually as there is to do here on the earth plane physically. So the soul's eternal, it is energy, and you can never destroy energy. So when we get up there to the light, we are usually met by family members, friends that we've known, pets that we've had, and they usually say, welcome home, because really the higher frequencies of pure light, white light, and love, that's our true home, from whence we have come and where we're going, most of us initially. So please don't have fear. I don't want to get into religion. As far as I'm concerned, there is no hell, because you do not have a physical body and you cannot burn. So, but you can feel love. You can feel, loving arms around you from your relatives. And you can create your own heavens, which are fascinating. So when people think of heaven, many times they think of clouds floating by, and angels sitting with harps and that kind of thing on a cloud, which is an iconic symbol. But basically, thought is energy, and thought plus form is energy, and we create our own heavens. So we can create a beautiful garden. Now, Tony, your mother, did she love roses? What flowers did she love?
Well, her maiden name was Rose, but right. But yeah, she loved roses. She loved any flowers, though.
Mm-hmm.
If she got flowers, she loved them.
So I would assume that I've never met your mother, God bless her, but she may have created a garden with butterflies and roses and the most beautiful flowers, if that's what she enjoyed. Or if she enjoyed the wide open spaces of walking in nature, that's what she could create with our mind. Our thoughts are so powerful. And if you realize how powerful your thinking is, you would be totally amazed. So there are no victims on earth. We create our reality by how we approach life and how we think. So that's why awareness is really important. So I don't know what I'm going to create when I get up there. But it's interesting that there are also rehab stations. So when we do a future podcast on suicide, we'll bring on a guest, and that's for November 13th. That's my next special podcast, and that's the subject. And we're going to talk about what happens with that particular soul. And we'll also talk about rehab stations, which is fascinating in heaven. Many times souls wake up in hospitals. Again, we're going back to level 2, but if someone's been in a hospital situation for many years, let's say in a coma, again, they may wake up in a hospital situation where they're not physically in a hospital, but spiritually. There are caretakers to help them feel comfortable in that type of situation, so they're not cast into something that is confusing for them. This is, I find this is interesting. And again, it's not etched in stone, but most of us go clear up to heaven. There is no pain there. Think about it. There's not a physical body. There is no negativity there, no victimization, and no fear. So what's up there with your beloved loved ones is love, is light, is peace, is beauty, and is truth. That's what's there. So this is just a quick synopsis. This is my little teaching section of third and fourth dimension. And sometimes, or at some point, maybe Tony and I will even go into dimensions 5 through 12. Tony, how many dimensions do you think there are? Have you ever heard about this? Read about it?
I have, and I've heard there's way more than we think. I can't give you a number, but there's way more than we think.
That's right.
Unlimited.
The angelic kingdom is a whole separate dimension. They're very high frequency. The ascended masters is another dimension. The creator, extraterrestrial beings and consciousnesses, very unique. And we can even go down to dimension 1, which is a vortex. 2 is the rock and mineral kingdom. Believe it or not, this is even denser and lower than our third dimensional world. But Pardon?
I said, who would have thunked?
Who'd have thunk? So people that work with crystals, gemstones, amethyst, jewelers, for example, are working with the second dimension. So anywho, Tony, anything to add to this? Did you ever have a dream of any loved ones?
Yeah, it's funny. Since my mom died, I have not. I'm surprised. If I had a dream of her, I don't remember it. But in the past, I did have dreams of like my great uncle, my grandma, my grandpa, and stuff like that. But yeah.
And if you dream of them, you won't get a long message because they're working telepathically from their soul mind to our conscious mind.
Yeah, I didn't think I got a message from them. It was just kind of like, oh, hi.
Sometimes they put their arms around you, or they'll say chin up or love you.
Right.
And pets really do come through a lot when I do my readings. So that is what I plan to teach tonight. I hope you learned from it. God bless all of you that are down here on the earth plane, learning your soul lessons. And again, we soul contract a time to come in and a time to go out. And I just want to reiterate one quick thing, because I know there are people listening and watching who have lost children in probably car accidents. And let's just say there's 3 teenagers in the car. 2 pass on and 1 stays on earth. The reason that is the 2 that left to go to heaven, their soul contracted timeline was up. And the one that stayed on earth, the angels can intervene and save them. So there are no accidents and there are no coincidences. Everything is in divine order. All righty. So do we have a little commercial, Mr. Sweet?
We sure do. I did a little song and dance. Oh, you not that one. Okay, you can. Yeah, yes,
so we'll take a little break. If you'd like to call in, call in. I'm taking calls tonight, talking to heaven. If you have questions about the different dimensions, which is fascinating, you can ask those kind of questions. Remember, UBN Go is the chat room where Tony is in California. And if you're on my fan page, please leave me some comments and I'll get back to you. I can't see them now, but I will later. And I'll try to get to everybody and join us again. I'll be back in November. So we're going to catch a little break and I'll see you on the other side.
Here we go.
Attract what you want in life. Learn more about your evolutionary soul journey. Gain in-depth knowledge about metaphysical concepts.
Start with Messages from Beyond. It's a spiritual guidebook that talks about the soul journey. Everything you've ever wanted to know is in this book. It's Spirituality 101.
Messages from Beyond, a spiritual guidebook. Available at michellelivingston.com and wherever books are sold. If you enjoy The Michele Livingston Show and want to see her in person, check out her next live seminar.
So here we go. If you can work with me, close your eyes. We're going to take 8 deep breaths, and we're going to start.
Have you recently lost a loved one?
Who lost a husband recently? I had to take a deep breath with him. I feel it was fairly quick.
Could you be the next one to get a reading?
I think I'm with you, sweetie.
There's a name like Bree. They're showing me cheese.
That's my daughter.
That's the new one. They showed me Bree cheese and her daughter's name Bree. See how this works?
This seminar will provide an experience that will truly enhance your understanding of the other dimensions.
When we get over there, we train to help 1 or 2 people that are on the earth plane, and we train to be their guides or their helpers.
And confirm that you
There's a dad figure coming through here.
are never alone.
Did you enjoy it? Oh, thank you so much.
All right, we are back.
Hello. And you just saw a clip of one of my seminars. I had one the end of September at the Radisson Hotel here, and they're wonderful. I have a wonderful co-host, Jen Shade, who I was on the radio with this morning on the People's Morning Show, The X. But people have a lot of questions. Now, these are not necessarily newbies, but they're people that can't really talk to other people at work. And they come to these seminars to share, to ask questions, to get answers, and it runs the gamut. Each seminar is totally different because people bring their own energy, their own personalities in. And of course, the loved ones from heaven that come through have their own personalities. So it goes from laughter to tears and back again. You usually get about 150 people. That's, the average. That makes it a little more intimate. I like to go around. We usually have stadium seating. The one coming up in Hershey Kisses. Did you ever have a Hershey Kiss?
Oh, I've
Tony?
had plenty.
Seriously, you know what they are, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I love them.
I wish I could hand you one right now.
Please.
But anyhow, yeah, it's gonna be in Hershey. It's towards Thanksgiving, the 24th of November, and it's a full buffet dinner. And this is the 9th annual. So it is half full already. And I have to say, if you like to eat, and we also have spirits, not just the kind I channel, but there's a bar with spirits. So it's really, I want to say across the board of doing this work, 30 years and probably 20 years of seminars, people write to me and say this is their favorite seminar. It's a real intimate get together. And so sign up for it because we are filling up. And I'm going to say probably by November 1st, it could even be full. So how are we doing with questions on my fan page or in the chat room, Tony?
Well,
do we have any?
On the chat room on UBN, people are just kind of viewing, but on your fan page, I mean, you got lots and lots of people that are tuned in. So let's look and see.
Okay. You have questions?
But we have
ask them
also
now.
a lot of people waiting in the call center. So
okay. Well, I'll be happy to take some calls, Tony.
All right, let's see. Let's look and see. A lot of people are just commenting. Oh my goodness.
Okay, if you are not viewing, the call number is 323-649-8268. That's the call number. 323-649-8268.
A lot of people are just commenting on what you're saying. In fact, this one's a good one. It's not a question, but dementia and Alzheimer's is from heavy metals in the brain per Anthony William, aka the medical medium. So yeah, a lot of people are just really commenting, but I know the call center probably has more of the questions.
Yeah, well, we're going to go deeper with all of these things. And with dementia, like I said, the Alzheimer, as far as I've learned, comes from plaque in the brain cells, and that means blockage. And it's different from dementia. Dementia is the lack of, it could be B vitamins, it could also be mercury. A lot of mercury amalgams need to be removed. I also want to mention Children's Miracle Network. I'll be a part of that locally if you're watching. It's actually, I think, November 7th and 8th. And people call in and get readings from me, and I've done it for 11 years. It's Hershey Medical Center for children, and it's called Pay for Play. And 10570X does this every year. We've raised over $1 million for the medical center for the children. So I'll be glad to do a reading for you, and you can go in and check that out on my website. On my website, you'll find where I'm going to be. You'll find YouTube videos of past shows. You'll find my books, and you'll find a lot of other info. So, and remember my YouTube channel, because we've done a lot of shows, haven't we, Tony?
Yeah, plenty. And I do have it's kind of a general question, but I think some people may be interested in this one. It's just, how do I connect to my guides?
Okay. Well, meditation is important. And as you said so yourself, Tony, when you walk in nature, you still the mind. And that's your form of meditation. It doesn't have to be complicated. You can sit and you can deep breathe and you can think of a beautiful scene. Whatever calms you down is what you need to do more of. I personally love nature. I receive a lot of information from birds and different creatures and different messages, even, in the wind. I love the seasons here in Pennsylvania. Oh my gosh, the seasons are beautiful. Behind me, if you're watching, is one of our trees that my husband took a couple weeks ago. But yeah, to get in touch with your spirit guides, just there's an old saying, peace be still. So you need to, number one, still your mind. Whatever you can do to still your mind. Oh, this little white feather floating down. Do it. I use automatic writing personally. I just take a pad and a pen and I start to write. And I have 3 angels called the light beings that I've had since I was a child. I also have a spirit guide named Brother Daniel. When I first connected with him, I was a child. And I would visualize a path. That's another way you can do this. And you're walking down the path, and wherever the path takes you or leads you, you could visualize a bench or a gazebo. Mine was a gazebo. And I'd go in there and sit, and there would be my spirit guide in a long white robe, and his name was Daniel. So I called him Brother Daniel, and he'd tell me everything about my life, what may transpire, what opportunities there will be coming up for me. So between doing automatic writing, if you want to get in touch with your guides via that particular way, just write your name at the top of a notebook, piece of paper, and just say an affirmation. Please let my guides give me information for my highest good. And I am white lighted in the white light of the higher power. And you start to write. And it could be feelings will flow out. It could be things that you haven't even thought about. It could be work-related, love-related. So it's interesting. Now it's called spontaneous writing or automatic writing. So it's really good to keep a journal and to write ideas down, emotions down. And sometimes one of your spirit guides will come through. But remember to please protect. And remember to please white light. How about it, Tony?
Right?
Yeah.
So, well, I'm looking at, I'll still more comments, but we have your phone lines are packed if you want to take a few calls.
Okay.
Okay. All right, everybody. So make sure, because time is limited, we want to make sure you get right to the question and just tell us who you are and where you're calling from. And Michele is going to give you a good old time. So here we go. 717. Here we go. All right, you're live on air.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, who is this?
My name is Nicole Walker.
Hi.
I'm from Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Hi, Nicole. How are you, my dear?
Good. I talked to you a little bit on Messenger, and you told me to call your show. I just have 2 questions. 9 years ago, my son's father, they said, committed suicide, but we feel very hardly that he was murdered because of how it happened and voice messages. And we just need some closure, because I can't live with myself thinking if he really was murdered and they won't say if he was or not. So that really bothers me. And ever since he passed away, I keep getting pregnant and keep losing them. And me and my husband been trying for 2 years and nothing. And we go to all these fertility clinics, and I just need some closure on what's going on.
Okay, darling. Let me just ask you something very quickly, Nicole. Do you have a grandmother passed?
Yes, my mom's dad.
You're a grandmother. You have a grandmother passed?
Yes, my grandmother.
Yeah. She has some of your little babies with her, darling. One was a girl. I just need to tell you. And I don't know if you knew that. Did you know that, Nicole? One was a little girl.
No.
And the timing was not right for some of these babies to come through. This is before, I assume, you're married or before you had your boyfriend. By the way, he's a wonderful gentleman. He loves you dearly. I have to say that. Your grandmom is a spirit guide of yours. She's watching over you. And she tells me you are going to get pregnant, darling. I'm not a medical intuitive, but patience is key. And if you've been listening to the show, Nicole, I was talking about lessons that needed to be learned. One of yours is patience. So your patience has been tried and tested over and over. Your grandmom tells me, that's for sure. And you've had to wait. You've had to wait for a lot in life, darling, for a lot. Yeah. Do you have a memorial tattoo of anyone? I don't know you, but do you have a tattoo or a memorial tattoo?
Yes.
And who was that for, Nicole?
My son's father that passed away.
Okay.
And my grandmother.
Oh, both. Okay, so she's through, yes. And I think I'm going to get your son's father through. Where's the J name? Mm-hmm. Jared? Jesse? Where would the J name
Jeremy.
Be in family? Hmm?
His name is Jeremy.
Oh, so that's your son? All right,
that's
his father's
father.
His father's through, sweetheart. And he wants me to tell you that he's watching out for your son, that he's a good boy. And you worry about him a lot. You worry about him going down the wrong path, your son. But he's very bright, Nicole, and he will stick by you emotionally. And the husband or boyfriend you're with now had some big shoes to fill because your son needed a strong male role model. He tells me he wants you to know something, darling. I'm not a psychic detective, but your husband wasn't in pain. And I know he went out quickly. And I think it was a male perpetrator. But again, I'm not a psychic detective. I don't do that kind of work because it's too draining on me. He did not take his life, though. He did not take his life.
No.
And you already know this. And he's showing me row homes. Yes. So I don't know if someone lived in row homes, whether it was your grandmother or you did starting out. You know what I'm saying? Connecting homes, rows of homes are being shown.
Yes.
Pardon? Is that correct?
My grandmother, my mom. Yes, my grandmother passed away in my mom's home.
Yeah, right. But he has made it to the light. And he wants you to know he's happy. He's sorry he had to leave that way. It's easier said than done, my love, but please release any anger. Try to, regarding this situation. Because everything, honestly, is meant to be. And your husband's timeline was up. So whether he went out in an accident, whether he went out in another way, he had to go. And as I said, I don't get into the nitty gritty of this, but you are correct. Mm-hmm. Someone did take his life, and I feel it was a male. It hasn't been
that's the voicemail I got from another male.
Yes.
So when he called my phone, he butt dialed me, and it was a male in the background.
I know.
And please don't believe me.
I know. That's what he's telling me. But he's a handsome guy, Nicole. He's wearing jeans. He wants you to try to get on with things. The baby issue will be resolved. In your unconscious mind, if you can follow what I'm trying to say, your subconscious mind, because your husband passed the way he did, and your son did not have a father, there's a little bit of an unconscious concern about having a baby without a father. So the one you're with is staying with you, darling, because he does love you. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And you're supposed to have a pregnancy, and you're supposed to have a little girl. You're supposed to have a little girl that comes to full term. All right? So I want you, darling, to be positive, please. I want you to know your husband's in a good place of light and love, and that you're very fortunate that you have a nice family, Nicole. And I'm so glad you called, sweetheart. So glad you called.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad you got through.
Thank you, and I have closure now.
I'm glad. That's why I do this work. So I'm going to say good night, honey. God bless.
God bless you too.
Good night. Oh,
Good night.
that's difficult
It is.
when you have a loved one whose life's taken like that, Tony.
I couldn't even imagine that.
Yeah, that's very difficult. And then losing, children, miscarriages. I want to explain this very quickly. And I know we don't have a lot of time. The soul chooses parents to learn and grow with. And at any stage of development, if the soul changes its mind and retracts from the mother's body, it's a miscarriage. So maybe the time is not right for that soul to incarnate. A stillborn is to the point of full development where the soul's above the baby body, but we look down and we literally say, I don't think it's the right time. I'm changing my mind, and we retract from the baby body. That's a stillborn. So I understand how tragic it is with miscarriages and stillborns. And I think Nicole will have closure. And I think, again, I'm not a psychologist, but in her unconscious mind, I really think she fears losing another father to a baby or to another child. But she says she has closure. So good for her, and bless her. So any other comments, Tony?
Like I said, most people in the chat room are just saying, I wish I could hear from my brother. My mom passed 6 months ago, missing her so much. Would like to know if there's anything at all you could tell her about her. I've been depressed and angry at the same time, trying to call in, but couldn't get through. So, because there's too many people in the chat or in the call center. So, yeah.
Well, give it another try. What do we have? 323-649-8268, right, Tony?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, and give it another try, because honestly, people that are meant to get through get through. What is the name of the girl that lost her mother? Is there a name there, Tony?
Oh, it moved the chat room. Let me see if I can find it again.
I'm going to say, darling,
Diana.
try not to have anger. It's a negative emotion. And honestly, everything's meant to be in this world. It really is. And healing is easier said than done, but it takes time and it takes effort to heal. And whoever lost their mother's in the healing mode, because I feel their mother either went out unexpectedly or there was unresolved issues with the mother that passed. That's what I get. And if there's a name, I can address that person. If you, like I said,
Diana,
if you want to leave comments on my fan page, please do.
Michelle, her name was Diana.
Diane, was it?
Diana.
Diana. Hi, Diana. And that's the one that lost a mama?
Yes.
Okay. So as I said, sweetheart, I just feel, I wish you could call in so I could get your energy in a stronger way. But I feel there was unresolved issues with your mother's passing. You may not have been there at the end with her. Maybe there was dissension in family with different family members. And everything will calm down. Everything will be smoothed over, Diana. So bless you. And if you want to private message me, you can do that on my fan page as well, because I do answer messages there as well.
Michelle, do you want to do one more quick call from a 520?
Okay, let's do that.
All right, here we go. 520. You are on the air. Oops.
Oh, my goodness. Hello.
Hello, who is this?
Hi, Michelle. It's Cindy from Phoenix.
Oh, my goodness.
God,
How are you, darling? How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for taking my call. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony. Tony picks them. But I don't have a lot of time, my darling, but I have a mother figure coming through for you, Cindy. A mother figure.
Oh, that's my mom.
She is a very strong.
She was from Pennsylvania.
Pardon?
She was also from Pennsylvania.
Oh, my heavens. Well,
yeah.
she had a kind heart. And your mother loved the changing of the seasons. She does. She did. And she says, Cindy, I'm so glad, she says, you called. She says, Phoenix is dry and arid, But your mother wants you to come back to Pennsylvania for a visit. Sounds kind of funny, doesn't it? But she's with you a lot. She's with you. Her energy surrounds you completely. And she's opening the door for a grandmother to come through, Cindy. And did your mother pass before your grandmother, honey?
No, my grandmother passed first, and my mom passed about 8 years ago.
But your grandmother seems so strong. She's as strong as your mother.
Oh my God, yes, she was. She was incredible.
And she was a lady of faith. She shows me the symbol for that. And when she says, now, Cindy, when there were hard times, she said, I leaned on my faith, and I want you to do the same, she tells me. And I also have this. Yeah, I know you've had some setbacks, sweetheart. There's been a lot of setbacks for you. But they call you a survivor, and that means you're going to keep going and going. Yeah. Where would
do they see my kids?
Pardon?
Do they see my kids?
They do see your kids. They love your kids. There's changes for one of them, and one. Are they in school now, Cindy? Are they graduated?
I have one of each. One's in school, and one did graduate.
Yeah, because the one that is in school that's going to graduate is going to go for a different major. Your mother's saying is somehow going to do a U-turn in school. So just kind of hang in there. Now there is a gentleman. There's a gentleman here. I'm getting a name like Mark or Mike.
Oh my God. Okay, Mark.
Who is
Mark.
that related to you, darling? Who would that be?
He was a friend. He was my spiritual mentor. And he was also from Pennsylvania.
Oh, here we go.
So I have a
home sweet home.
Pennsylvania connection.
Well, I think because maybe I'm near Harrisburg, PA. That's why they're coming through like this. But he steps right on through, and his posture, he's very straight. And he says, Cindy, he says, I am one of your spirit guides, and I want to communicate with you. I want to be your mentor. And he wants you, as I suggested earlier, my dear, to take a notebook and to write your name down. Mark wants to communicate with you through spontaneous or automatic writing, Cindy. You really should try it. He taught you so much. He taught you so much. He tells me about your own
block.
Pardon?
I hit a block. I used to be active in I could read people's minds. I could, speak to spirits, and I used to be able to do things. But after I lost Mark, I just I don't know if I just lost the connection, and I feel like I lost a part of myself that I haven't been able to connect to the other realms or the other levels and spirits that, I miss it. I feel like a part of me is missing, so I would love to communicate with Mark, tell him to hang in there. I haven't given up.
Well, he doesn't want you to give up because it's not all about Mark. It's about you, honey, finding yourself and going within and having the faith to know you're on the right track, Cindy. He wants to communicate through the written word and ask to hear him, because clairaudience will come to you if you really still your mind. Your mind's like a ping pong ball.
Oh my God, it is. It is. I think I have a couple of ping pong balls.
It goes in different directions. So when you're stilling the mind is when he's going to communicate. So mother looks radiant. She's with you right now. Grandmother's here, and Mark salutes. So that means he's happy to be here. He's proud of your development. And remember, Cindy, he's not gone. His soul or his light body is right with you, darling. The energy's right there. Okay?
Thank you so much.
And thanks for calling from Phoenix, my darling. I'm glad you got through.
Oh, I am glad too. It was nice talking to you. And
God bless you, honey. Have a good night.
You too, sweetheart.
All right. That was great, Michele, as always.
Okay. I cannot believe how time flies when we're on here together.
I know. It's been a while, but I'm glad you're back.
It's been a while. And as I say to people, this is my 4th year back again. So write to me, email me, fan page, friend page. Look at my past YouTube shows. There's a lot of them, and you'll learn a lot. So any parting words, Mr. Tony Sweet, out there in California?
Well, I'm a man of few words, but no, it's just glad to have you back, and so great that you're. As you can see, a lot of people are enjoying your show. I'm glad you're back and giving great readings and advice. So,
well, I have just a parting sentence, and it's about love, really, because love rules, and it's in my book. And love is the single largest contributing component to promote soul growth and soul evolution. So remember, everybody listening and watching, work through the heart of love. And always be kind. That's my mantra. Always be kind. So I'm going to say God bless everybody. Good night. I'll see you in November. If you have any topics for shows that you would like me to do, actually this Dimension one came from a few people that requested it. So if you have any topics you'd like me to cover, please let me know. And it's been my pleasure. And Tony, I'll see you soon.
Oh, I'll see you soon, and have a good night, everybody, and talk to you later.
Mwah.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
If you enjoy the Michele Livingston Show and want to see her in person, check out her next live seminar.
So here we go. If you can work with me, close your eyes. We're going to take 8 deep breaths, and we're going to start.
Have you recently lost a loved one?
Who lost a husband recently? I had to take a deep breath with him. I feel it was fairly quick.
Could you be the next one to get a reading?
I think I'm with you, sweetie. There's a name like Bree. They're showing me cheese. That's my daughter. That's the new one. They showed me Bree cheese and her daughter's name Bree. See how this works?
This seminar will provide an experience that will truly enhance your understanding of the other dimensions.
When we get over there, we train to help 1 or 2 people that are on the earth plane, and we train to be their guides or their helpers.
And confirm that you
There's a dad figure coming through here.
are never alone.
Did you enjoy it?